Man, it's been a while since I've like properly made a video. Um, I don't really have an excuse for that, but we're here. Um, Skate, as the title suggests, this is going to be a not so much of a review of the game, but more so just not really a diary of my thoughts, but my thoughts on the game. I will be listing the pros that I've had with the game and the many, many cons. Um, Before that, I should probably give a bit of context behind my experience with the series. I vaguely, as a kid, remember going to my cousin's house and playing both Skate 2 and Skate 3. Although Skate 3 was the more dominant game that I would play. And it was not until years later, when I was in high school, I got an Xbox for like $50. It was a 360. And I immediately went out to go look for a copy of Skate 3. And I found it, and that was some of the just most fun that I think I've had playing a video game ever. It was fantastic. I ended up beating the whole game, buying a few of the DLCs, and in general, I mean, I just had a lot of fun with the game. Years passed after that, and I got a completely, totally official PlayStation 3 that I definitely did not emulate. Along with that totally legit PlayStation 3, I also had a completely legitimate copy of Skate 2. I don't know why I never bought a copy of it for the Xbox 360 that I had, but we make decisions, and sometimes we forget about them for a while. This was one of those said decisions. So I played a lot of Skate 2 as well. And I kind of just slowly started remembering the stuff that um, I played, right, at my cousin's. Some of the more unique encounters that will be mentioned throughout this video. And now, roughly 15 years later, good lord, since the last Skate game, we have Skate 4, even though it's not really called Skate 4, and it's more so just called Skate with a period. I've been playing this game for roughly 48 hours. I don't really want to call it 50 hours because it's not accurate. Um, and I will say, just overall, I have fun with this game. This game is a lot of fun to just kind of dick around and um, do your challenges out, do all that fun stuff. But it gets to a point of being kind of tedious. Um, so that was kind of what brought up this video. Is, well, one, obviously, the amount of hours I've spent, and wanting to talk about why I'm not exactly happy for the game. I shouldn't say not happy for the game's future. Skeptical, I guess, is the better word. So let's start off, I guess, with just the good stuff. There's not much, I'm gonna be honest. However, one of those good things is the gameplay. I'm gonna keep it a buck. The actual skating aspect of this game is phenomenal. Um, it feels a lot less fluid, and I guess you could also say overpowered, right, as Skate 3. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because you could still do absolutely ridiculous things in this game. I am lazy, and I will not edit this video because, one, I don't know how to on PlayStation, and that is how I am recording this, because I do not have a computer. But I'm sure that if you guys have looked at any gameplay of this game, you've seen some crazy stuff. I mean, I've kind of been showing it, right, with this, like, speed glitch thing. So you don't have the, like, super overpowered board feel, I guess, as Skate 3, but you could still do some insane stuff, and I like that a lot, and I would actually consider that to be a pro. Along with that, just doing the tricks feels very fluid. It feels super nice. Having the little, well, kind of like the tracker, I guess, in the middle of your screen showing, how I'm doing specific tricks is also really helpful. And it's just very nice to have. So I do think, like, in general, they did nail the skating aspect part of the game. But at the same time, it's not fully complete. One of the things in particular, and I should also preface this by saying I'm very ignorant in terms of skate culture and trick names, but there is a specific trick that you could do in both skate, I assume all three of the skate games, or all the first three games. I want to say it was called a dark catch, where you were able to essentially turn your board upside down and then flip off of it. You're able to do this for grinds as well, where you would have the top part of the board on. I did not see that car coming. You would be able to have, and I can do it right here actually, unless I mess this up, and then that'd be kind of funny. Instead of the, wow, okay, that's actually like mad embarrassing. Where am I? I'm here. Okay. But essentially, what you would be able to do is, instead of the only like grind option being, like the bottom of your board, hitting this, you would have the top part. And so it would essentially just be upside down. And that's just not in the game. They said it will be in the future, but that's when we start to get into some of the negatives, which I want to save because there is another thing, positive, that I do want to talk about, and we can actually go to that right now. And that is these fun things, the community parks. These are sick. I like these a lot. They are essentially from, well, I'm aware because I've noticed differences between the parks. These rotate every, right there, it says a little bit under 12 hours. And they're just skate parks, right? They are pretty ugly with the yellow and blue stuff. Like, this is pretty atrocious. But I really like that they change. And so it gives you something new to skate every once in a while. Right? And I think that's really sick. One of them, I don't know if they still have it, and we can go check. I believe it was over here. I say it was the skate park. Is it Dime? Yeah, this is sick. I believe, if I am not mistaken, this is modeled after like an actual skate like arena that was being used for competitions. I don't know if it's still going on or not. But like this is cool, right? If more of these things happen, we get more like actual skate parks out, which I think is awesome, and I think it adds some replayability to the game. Now, that's about it though, in terms of the positives that I have for this game. I don't necessarily think that the game is bad. I just kind of want to preface that by saying this. I would not have almost 50 hours in this game if I thought it was ass. I'm just going to be honest. Right? I am definitely biased because I do like Skate 2 and 3 a lot. But, good lord, there are some issues. Ow. So let's talk about them. First, we can go to the starting area, where this is probably going to be the most evident, I would imagine. Actually, probably not. Person there. Person there. They fell. Person there. The game is online only. I don't like that at all. The first 3 skate games were not online only. You could play online if you wanted to, right? You could play with friends and all that fun stuff. But the game forces you to be an online only, which is ass. I don't really think I need to explain why, but I will, right? If, God forbid, this game does poorly when it fully releases, because right now it is in early access, like we're not even in the first season of the game yet. What happens after? right? Like if the game does shut down in a decade or whatever, and you've spent all this money on cosmetics and stuff, right? What happens? It's gone. That's it. And that's something that no one wants to like ever experience or even think about, right? And that was awesome. What the hell? Ow. And that's just something that no one wants to think about. Which, again, would be fine if the game, had an option to specifically join a lobby of people. But you're just automatically forced into, I want to say it's like a 100 player lobby, it might be like 99 or something. And it hasn't been that bad recently, but the queue times were awful for the first weekend that this game was out. Apologies for the train if you guys can hear that. But it was bad. That Saturday, I think the queue was like 80,000 players, but the time was like 7 minutes, so it wasn't egregious. Sunday was horrible. I was in a like 186,000 player queue, and that was like roughly 18 minutes to wait. And what makes it worse is I'm not going to show it here because, well, if I do, I'll have to end the recording, and I don't want to do that. If you start one of these challenges, and I guess we can just do this one right now, so I kind of show you guys what I mean. You have two options for them. Why did I automatically go? I'm sorry, I'm so used to this. But one thing that sucks about being an online only for these challenges, right? And honestly, it's not even that much of it being online only as it just being EA being fucking stupid. Is when you start a challenge. Alright, you go here. You have your objectives. There's an option for start co-op and start solo. We're going to start solo. I am not going to skip this dialogue. But if you skip this dialogue too fast, the challenge won't work. You'll be stuck in a waiting for players loading screen that is just straight up impossible to get out of. Because, well, you queued solo, so no players can join you. That is a gigantic problem. And it was especially noticeable that Sunday, where it was like you would just need to relog, which sucked, right? So it being online only really sucks for the queue times as well as just the future of the game, right? Next one that I kind of want to talk about is if you've played Skate 2 or 3 or 1, right? Honestly, Skate 2 or 1 specifically. This game feels like what a corporation thinks skateboarding is. And again, I am not big on the skateboarding culture. I'm very ignorant with that. But this world it feels too perfect is the way that I would explain it. You do a lot of tricks, right? And we're going to go back to the online only part. This person right there, right? They're doing flips and shit. A grind as well. And that's a good point that I actually want to make. In previous skate titles, well, I was sick, I didn't mean to do that. You would see wear and tear on your board. Your clothes, I don't think they'd rip. But if you were wearing like shorts or whatever, your knees would have bruises on them if you fell, right? The world would actually like show that this was a, dominant world for skaters, right? There would be where that guy just grinded. I believe some wear and tear on this. There's nothing, right? Like there's nothing right there where that person just grinded, and that sucks. I'm gonna be honest. It just doesn't feel good, I guess, is what I'm trying to convey. And this is a personal opinion, right? But at the same time, you would expect these wheels to not look, factory new and have a bit of wear and tear on them. That's just been a thing in all the games, and for them to just get rid of it and make this world a lot more, I don't want to say friendly, but it kind of is in comparison to the other three games, right? I mean, in the second game, one of the gimmicks was anytime you would skate like downtown where security was, you would hire a guy who, from what I remember, was just named Big Black, who is a big black dude that would just beat the shit out of the security guards for you. That was awesome, right? That was fucking sick. Skate 3, right? If you were just causing a ruckus with the pedestrians, they would straight up beat the shit out of you. It was awesome. You don't have any of that in this game. You don't have that gritty stuff, right? That kind of marks a game, I guess, as a skate game. Um, and so I guess that's what I mean by this game feels like, you know, what a corporation thinks skateboarding is. Um, and that just, I think, adds a bit to the world, which is one of my other points. Well, actually, yeah, it's my next point, I'm pretty sure. Which is the map. I don't hate it, but I don't like it because I know what we had before was just amazing. Um, Primarily with Skate 2, but also Skate 3 had this as well. In Skate, right now, and to be fair, they did say they're going to be adding more maps, which is fine. There is maybe like some distinction between these maps, but not much. I mean, the biggest thing I'd say, if you've been on TikTok recently, or even just any form of social media, is where is it? It's over here. Right here. You have the church, right? This is a pretty good landmark, I'd say, that separates Goldcrest Village, ignore that, from the rest of the map. And you can even say, right, for Hedgemont, you have the tower, M-Corp Tower. Right, this is kind of like the end of the attempt at a story that this game has. And this does separate it from the other zones. Then you have Market Mile, which I would say you probably have, this awesome skate park that has, you guys can kind of sort of see it, not really from here, but has a really sick drop-in that you can do. Right, and I'd say like right now, maybe it's the equivalent of Super Ultra Mega Park in Skate 3. Not by much, but it's what we got. So you have those two things. That's kind of it, though. When playing Skate 2, right, which from what I'm remembering is a just straight up open world game. Like there's no loading zones or barriers like how Skate 3 has it. But there is a distinct feel for all of the parts of the map, right? You have the forest area, you have the industrial district, and you have downtown. It's kind of the same thing for Skate 3 as well, where you have the industrial district, you have the university area, and then downtown. And I guess also like the suburbs, but I'm pretty sure that's still part of the university. So whatever. You don't have that here. You kind of just have one big city, which again is what they're going for. I completely understand that. But I'm just saying, a change of scenery will be nice. Part of that also has to do with Brick Switch, which just is like, yeah, it's here. You don't really have any challenges. Let's see, which way do I want to go? Is it this way? Yeah. Okay. Cool. But you do have like some parts in Brick Switch that actually like seem different. Not forest or industrial district enough. But if we go down here, I want to say it's over here. You have a neat little like cafe thing. I'll look for it as I keep talking. But yeah, so like map identity, I guess, is a thing that is missing somewhat, kind of, sort of. And something that I'd like to see. I would love to see more, just more to it, right? Less city, more other stuff. Okay, I can't find it because I'm dumb, but that's fine. Whatever, we'll continue. Another thing, though, for the city, and this is more so not really like a negative because Skate 3 did it for like a DLC, but I think they only did that like once. But it was sick. Where they actually had you like skate during the night. If they could add day and night cycles into this game, that would be awesome. That would make the city feel a lot better, in my opinion. Right? But that's kind of that. The next thing that I want to talk about as I'm opening up my phone is a big one. This shop, I don't have an issue with shops being in these kind of games, right? It's a free game. If you're going to earn money, you're going to have microtransactions. But, and this kind of correlates to the bad thing that I was talking about when I said that the skating feels good, but there's stuff missing. If you're going to fully release a shop, you need to fully release a skate experience. And you're not doing that by not having core game modes in the game, which we'll talk about in a bit, and missing tricks. All of this stuff, the purple stuff is the paid stuff you get. That makes sense. The purple things there are the paid currency. And the orange stuff that I have in the top right corner is the free stuff you get from doing challenges. I don't have an issue with this. Right? Like, if you want to spend money on the game, go ahead. But if you're going to do this, you gotta finish the experience, right? Like, they're already, when the game comes out fully, you know what they're gonna add? They're not gonna add the missing tricks, they're gonna add a fucking battle pass. And I get it, this is an EA game. That doesn't mean, though, that I'm not gonna comment on it and it being dog shit, right? So, the shop being more finished than the actual game is not a great side, but another thing is, if you're gonna have a shop, at least have a way to customize some accessories. I don't remember if Skate 2 had this. In Skate 3, if you had, let's say, this kind of hat, right? You just had a normal ball cap. You could style it in different ways. You could have it be to where the actual, like, brim part is down more and kind of, like, covering your eyes. I'm pretty sure you could also have it backwards and sideways. Same thing for, I want to say, hoodies as well. And if not hoodies, then shirts. You can have a shirt be a bit tighter or looser on you. And that was awesome, right? I mean, it was just another way to customize your character. And that's just not in this game. Same with the lack of accessories. Now, I assume, because there's only 3 here and there is space for more, they will add extra slots for, like, rings and necklaces. And I think that would be awesome. But again, it's not like the biggest thing. It's mostly just not being able to style the hats and the shirts is kind of, and hoodies, right? Like, why can't I put the hood up on the hoodie? Maybe I can, and I'm missing something. But from how I see it, you can't do that. So, on top of, having more focus on the shop, lacking focus in terms of apparel isn't great for me. Going back on to the modes that I was mentioning. How are you going to make a skate game and not implement the mode known as skate? For those of you unaware of what that means, it's essentially a game that can be played with as many players, honestly, where you take turns doing tricks. Let's say I was going to say an ollie, but I ended up doing a heel flip. My opponent would then need to do a heel flip. Let's say they fuck up and they do an ollie. They get an S. And this just goes, until someone spells skate, right? How's that not going to be in the game? Also, how's 1-up not going to be in the game? That mode was awesome. And that's essentially just whoever gets the highest amount of points wins, right? Like, I don't really need to explain that game mode as much. Death Race not being in the game, I could kind of understand that, especially with, what I'm doing right now. with like a speed glitch. But I can understand why people are mad at that. And then we also get into the kind of E10 and upping, the rated T mechanic known as Hall of Meat. This has been the biggest thing I feel like for a lot of players, is the lack of Hall of Meat, which I completely understand. It was satisfying. It was satisfying to go ragdolling, and instead of doing that, you'd see what you bruised, or not bruised, but what you'd like fractured, what you'd break. It was awesome. Um, I think it sucks more because they reference it in the shop with this $50 fucking pack. You see that thing on the left, the Meat Man costume. If you completed, I think it was just completed, every Hall of Meat challenge, I think, in Skate 3, you could just play as a piece of meat. That was cool. How are you going to make a reference to that and not have the mode? They have something similar. Oh yeah, they have something similar, but it's ass because of that reason. Where is it? This. Stunts. Fucking embarrassing. Um, and that, again, I feel it comes with the corporation part, where they're not marketing this game towards not even necessarily just skaters, but people who like the first two games. They're kind of just marketing it to everybody, which ends up hurting the people that have been playing Skate for, a while, several years, right? Am I stuck? Yeah, I'm stuck, alright. Ow, that shit hurt. Um, but yeah, I don't know if they're going to end up adding those modes in the future. I hope they do. I don't know why Skate wasn't included. My ass is not playing that online, though. There are some demons here, alright? I'm not trying to fight them, but still. I'm trying to think if there's anything other game modes, but I'm pretty sure those were the three that are it, because we have On the Spot, then we have the line challenges, which is a whole nother thing, but I don't really want to complain about it, because I don't think it's actually that bad. But yeah. But then we also get into one of the reasons why I don't think they actually added Skate and Death Races. There's no pro skaters in this game. That was awesome. Now again, I'm dumb as hell. I don't know who any of those people were. But it was sick having them in the game. It was just cool. Right? It was cool doing a death race with other people that are I assume, that are very big in the skate world. Same thing with doing the one-ups. Same thing with actually playing the skate. Right? Doing the contests, which is another thing that I completely forgot to mention. No contests. That's lame. But again, I really do think it. When I hit the curve, but I really do think it has to do with there not being a Hall of Meat. Not Hall of Meat, sorry. No pro skaters in this game. It breathed life into the world, right? Whereas having a bunch of people in a lobby kind of just doesn't, when no one really interacts with each other. Because there's no, incentive to outside of a few handfuls of currency. So no pro skaters is also pretty big, just L. Especially if you're gonna market this game to, introducing people to this world of skate. Wouldn't you want to have some prominent figures? So if people get interested, they then, start doing the research and then getting deeper into this world. But that implies that EA cares about that, and that they don't just care about making money, which we all know is a big fat lie. Let me see if I can. Come on. Oh, hell yeah. Alright. I need an excuse to reopen up my phone because it went off. Another thing that we're going to talk about is unlockables. So, I haven't really talked about cosmetics outside the store. I don't think the way that you actually get the cosmetics in theory is bad. You play the game, you get your currency, you do your dailies and your weeklies, and then you open up boxes. And these boxes correspond with, I'm just going to call it your reputation level. Right now, as you can see at the top of my screen, it says mark a mile and it has an 8. I am level 8 in this zone. Right, the other two zones I've already maxed out, meaning that I can purchase any box from these areas. That's where the issue comes into play, though, is that they're boxes. The item that you want can either take you, 100 of your currency, or it could take you like 1100, and that just doesn't feel good. Now, I will not lie, it's a very good incentive to get people to keep playing the game, especially if you're after those very rare um, skeleton apparel, which I will show after I crash and die. Here, right? Like, if you're hunting this, it ain't going to take you 375 credits. It's going to take you like 3,700. The rates are very clearly skewered, right? That's not saying you can't get a rare item early. I have. I was hunting for. Go to here. If we go, I want to say it was Markabile. Yeah, it took me 2 to get the skull. But at the same time, I've been wanting to get this specific board, 375, and I have not been able to get it, meaning that I have spent over 4,000 of these just stupid credits to get a single item. And that's just annoying, right? In the old games, you're able to have a just very simple, you get your boards and your, I don't remember what they were called specifically. You're able to get your cash, right? You're going to spend thousands on the specific cosmetics that you want, and that was that, right? You didn't have any RNG. Having it added into the game just feels like crap. And again, I get it, it's a live service game. I'm still going to complain about it because I'm a complaining bitch. My issue, however, with this, and I know I've kind of already given 8 issues about the system, but this issue doesn't really affect me. Unless they actually add a way to build your own private custom park, I probably won't ever care about using the editor. Having, though, a lot of the, like, these essentially locked behind this is crap. Like, I don't really have any better way to explain it. This shit sucks, right? You have 38 items here. You have, if we go over here, 44 here. And over here, you have 57. Like, that's but. I'm sorry. And again, I understand it is a way to feel like you're making progression and all that stuff. But if the progression's ass, I don't care if it's still progression, it's gonna suck. But I also haven't really been seeing anyone complain about it. So maybe it's not actually that big of a deal and I'm just a fraud. World will never know. But yeah, I mean, it just feels bad, right? Like, there's not really much to say other than the old system was better. The old system being a full game, right, where you didn't have to rely on RNG to get the stuff that you wanted. You would just grind it out. And that's kind of another thing, is some of the items that you'd get also weren't just from using the shop. They were from completing challenges, like the Hall of Meat suit, right? Like the crowns that you would get, where one of them, I think it was just like you needed to beat the game, or no, you needed to sell a specific amount of boards. And the other one you had to win, I think it was like every contest. That is what progression should be, not doing the same thing 500 times and expecting a different result, which is just being insane, right? Ow. So that is another thing, I guess. And then the last thing that I want to mention off the top of my head, off the top of my phone actually, the challenges get so fucking tedious. I mean, like, right now, all this stuff is maxed out. I have felt no incentive at all to do these challenges again because they are the exact same thing. When you hit max, you don't get a new challenge, I'm pretty sure. So it just don't feel good. Like, if we go to this challenge, I'll see how many times I've done it, right? Wow, actually, I don't think I've ever done this challenge. So that was kind of a terrible example. No, I have. Yeah, no, I've done this challenge a lot. The challenges get so boring. I mean, the only real way to get experience. Ow, that was almost it. Within the specific parts of the city is through challenges and through opening up the like gear boxes, or I guess the loot boxes. And specifically with Market Mile, it takes so long. I've had the other two at 10 for just forever. I've had them for forever. And so having this one be the last zone and it taking just days, right? It feels like crap. It really does. Especially when you're doing a bunch of boring challenges. Um, and that again comes with just the issue of the game being live service. Is eventually, ow, why did you hit me, you asshole? That's great. You're just gonna drive off. That's insane. All right, whatever. But that's just like an issue with the game being a live service model. Um, is if we take a look at, actually no, I can't even say it because other live service models at least make it somewhat more interesting, right? With it actually being specific to online stuff. Take for example, I haven't played Fortnite in actual years. But even in Fortnite, right, you're grinding that battle pass every day, doing the same shit over and over and over again. But typically, there is some variables to that experience that every game is not the same. Right? In this case, it's actually involving yourself with other players. Um, and that's an important part of an online game. And having Skate be online only, but it being more of just a necessity than something that makes the game fun is boring as hell. Which I guess that's a bad way to phrase it because, well, I mean, you could just, you know, you should have Fortnite be a single player game, and how that whole started. I don't know. What I'm trying to say, I guess, is if you're going to make a online only live service game, you have to have it be interactable to make the grind better. Which it just isn't right now. Right, you could also take this into any MMO. If you've played WoW, Wizard 101, Pyro 101, Final Fantasy 14, fuck, I assume Maple Story, any goats remember Monkey Quest? Yeah, that's kind of a bad example, but still. You were doing the same thing typically every week, right? You'd run the specific raid with your group, but you'd have different runs all the time, right? Sometimes you fail miserably, other times you do really good, and you just don't have that with this game, which makes the online only feel that, again, was the first con that I mentioned because I feel like it's the worst aspect of this game, more prominent. And I think that translates well into just how fucking tedious these challenges are. That being said, despite me essentially calling this game absolute dog shit, I truthfully don't think that this game is awful. Because the gameplay saves it so much. Like, even though I'm bailing so much, and this is nothing, right? I'm kind of just doing this. I'm not really even doing tricks. It's fun. It is a lot of fun. It just feels good to play. But they have to realize that that is like the only thing that this game has going for it. And if they don't start, locking the fuck in, because they have released a roadmap, but that roadmap kind of just says, okay, so we're going to be getting like a new zone, I think it was every season. And then fundamental parts of this game are going to be, released over time. Which is how a lot of live service games pretend that they're actually doing something. Right? If you guys have ever watched my Star Rail VODs, I play that game a lot. I also play Genshin a lot too. And those games have a very just big issue with quality of life stuff, where stuff that should be in the game from day one just isn't. And then when it is released 3, 5 years later, people are like, "Oh, this is so awesome," and it's like, it is, but it should have been in the game in the first place. And that's the same thing as Skate, right? Like, I'm pretty sure they said specifically season 3 is when they were going to add the dark catches. Pretty sure is what it was called. My bad. That's not until next year, though. So it's like, okay, well, it makes me worry, I guess, because I love Skate. Ow. I love the franchise, and I wanted this game to be more. Um, but I'm not completely dissatisfied, I guess, with it. So, yeah, that's kind of just my pros and cons about it. I only made notes for this video. I did not go off of a script or anything, as I'm sure you guys can tell. But I just kind of wanted to talk about this, just to talk, And I think, I've been talking my ass off for 40 minutes. Holy shit! I need to drink water after this. But yeah, I mean, all in all, like I do enjoy this game. If I didn't, I wouldn't be doing this for 40 fucking minutes. And probably when like the game actually properly goes live, I'll stream it, and it should be fun. But for now, expect weekly Star Rail streams to continue. Nothing's really going to change in that regard. I might, might get a good high off this vid, and I might start uploading more. Don't fucking count on it though, because I'm as unreliable as something that's unreliable that you can relate to with your life. But yeah, TLDR, gameplay is fantastic, but the game, it being a live service game, I think ruins it for a lot of people, despite the insane, player counts. And I worry for the game's future, with it being online only and going the free-to-play route specifically. So, yeah, if you enjoyed this rant, or I mean, hell, even if you didn't like this rant, which I respect that, leave a like or a dislike. I don't really look at my content that much, so I won't know. And I will see you guys in the next video, or next stream, which will be typically on Mondays. I don't think that will change, but it might be on a Tuesday, or maybe a Thursday, or I don't know. It'll be sometime next week for Star Rail. And until then, that's a good reference if you guys know that. Oh hell yeah! I will see you guys later. How do you wave? Yeah, just do that. Bye bye. Well, I have to do this to end my recording. Well, that's fine.